Hi, this is Kent Phillips from Pure Solar and Electrical on the Empower Prep Unplugged podcast. I'm joined with Alicia, and today we're going to be talking about the differences between hybrid systems and grid-tied systems and off-grid systems as well. So
I have a feeling I'm going to learn a lot today because I have no idea what solar to me is solar. Mm-hmm. The sun hits this thing and lights come on.
Right, exactly.
That's it.
So you're absolutely right, because the sun does hit these things, right? Those big black panels, and they turn them into usable electricity for your home. And so with a grid-tied system, your typical grid-tied system, which most homeowners are going to go ahead and purchase a grid-tied system, and that's just enough panels. So you're going to go ahead and install enough panels on whether it be on your roof or on a ground mount, or a carport, whatever you're really looking for. But you're going to go ahead and you're going to have enough panels to go ahead and produce more than enough energy of what you're using. So let's say, you're using 20,000 kilowatt hours in a year. You're averaging, say, $300 a month on your bill. And now you're going to need X amount of panels to go ahead and pretty much get rid of all of those bills. And now with all our utilities, they're going to raise their rates every year, as we all know. Right. They're never going to go down again. They're only going to go higher.
I was waiting for a Christmas card that said, "Hey, Alicia, Merry Christmas. Your electricity bill is going down." That you don't foresee that happening?
You don't. Yeah, no? It's just only in my dreams.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's just never going to happen. And I think they're just getting more greedy, honestly, by the year. And so with the solar, you're going to produce enough power to go ahead and offset what you're actually using on your daily basis. So, if you have a home and you're using a lot more electricity in the summer because you're running your air conditioning, and say you have gas at home for your heat, so you're not using that much electricity in the winters, you're going to see a big offset as far as, hey, I might still get a bill in my summers, but I'm going to get a nice credit in my winter months. And then from January 1st to December 31st, they're going to calculate everything that they have bought from you and you've bought from them, and then go ahead and actually write you a check via whatever the excess amount that they owe you would be.
Okay, wait. So they're giving me money? What's happening?
So
how is that happening?
So it used to be net metering, to where net metering, they would go ahead and give you credits back towards your bill, right? On that next month, say after they calculated everything of what you used and produced, they would go ahead and give you credits back to go ahead and offset the next bill for the next month's cycle.
Right.
So instead of that, they'll actually write you a check for, okay, we bought this X amount for this price from you. So it was 7.5 cents that they were buying every kilowatt hour. Now, a kilowatt hour is what you're actually paying for on your home right now.
Right.
So when you see your bill, most of us look at it and we just want to see that. We don't want to see it, but we do. We see that $200, $300, $700 bill. We don't bother looking at those kilowatt hours. And as you've probably noticed, those line items on our bill have just gotten, we're pretty much at a book now. 7-10 years ago, we'd have 4 or 5 line items there. You look at an APS bill now and you've got about 20 things and you're like, I don't remember you watching my kids for a week. What's really going on?
You didn't send me on vacation.
Exactly.
Well, and that's the thing too. I noticed like with cell phones, you have a choice where you can go. With internet, you've got different providers. You get APS, right? That's it.
That's it. You get APS, right? Exactly. And, other people up in Phoenix, they're stuck with SRP, or, people in like Mojave have Unisource Energy. So all the, you're stuck with whatever your utility is. Now, there's a couple ways, obviously, to get away from the utility. Of course, you could always take your home off grid. Now, off grid is where, you could pretty much go out, turn off your 200 or 400 amp breaker and fully run your home off of the power of your solar panels as well as your batteries. And usually on an off-grid system, you need a generator to go ahead and recharge those batteries just in case the weather was just too crappy or you just didn't have enough sun power.
Which around here, forget that.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's crazy because when I hear off-grid, I think of like Ozark Mountains and, you're cooking by fire. And
right. You got a big white beard. And, the whole 9 yards.
I just bring in a bag of something that I found out,
exactly.
We got
right.
got our dinner.
You're skinning the deer out yourself and cooking it up yourself.
Eaten by candlelight.
Yeah. And off-grid really is just, I mean, off-grid is a different lifestyle. That is, we've had a lot of clients that, have lived where me and you are pretty much living like we have a bill, we have full power from APS. And then once you get off-grid, realizing what you're actually running, it makes a lot more of a difference, right? Knowing that, hey, I'm going to run, whether it be your electric air conditioner or a dishwasher, for crying out loud, or a washing machine. You don't want to do those things at night when you're running them all off the battery, right? So you have to live a little different. Okay, I've got my solar panels producing all this energy in the daytime and charging my battery for nighttime. I'm going to go ahead and utilize the solar panels to go ahead and run all my larger items in the daytime. Like, if I was washing clothes or dishes, or I wanted to run, air conditioners, those have to run throughout the whole day. Right. I mean, they're not going to run 24 hours, but on and off, anywhere from 8 to 16 hours a day per se. So, and now with hybrid systems, that's where you've got pretty much the both of best worlds. So with a hybrid system, you're taking a grid tied system, and your grid tied system strictly sized enough to sell back to the grid and offset your electricity bill. Off-grid system is there to go ahead and make sure you can run all of those breakers in your breaker panel if the grid the grid's already down and off-grid. So with a hybrid system, now the system still works as a grid-tied system, still to where you're still producing enough power to get rid of your electric bill itself. But that's where you have the luxury of, if the grid did go down, you still have the battery to back up your certain items, such as a lot of people in our area have well pumps, right? You need water if the grid is down. That's a must, whether it be for their family or their horses in the back. It doesn't matter. You're going to need water. Next is usually fridges, freezers. You want to make sure, all your meat's still frozen. You still have, your food and everything taken care of. Then the luxury items, lights, Wi-Fi, TV, which those don't utilize much power. What it's really coming down to is, the air conditioners, the hot water heaters, the fridges, freezers, lights, and those other items. They're not at least calling for too much. So in that case, you've got your system size to go ahead and produce X amount and push it back to the grid. Now, when the grid goes down, like I said, you have the luxury to run all those certain items still. And we're talking milliseconds. The grid goes down. You have your TV backed up on the battery. Your TV's still running, but you notice, hey, my guest bedroom's not running anymore because I don't have that backed up, right? And then, but the grid's not always down, right? So you're not just sitting there with, pretty expensive batteries just waiting for a grid down situation. You're utilizing those batteries in a couple different ways too. So once the sun set and your solar's sleeping at that point, solar panels aren't producing any more power, your battery's sitting there at 100%. Now all of those items that are in the critical loads panel that are going to be powered if the grid goes down, all of those now are getting powered at night by the battery. So instead of pulling it off of the grid at night, because the solar's sleeping, right? There's no more power to be produced to the grid. Now, instead of pulling all of that off of the grid at night, we're going to go ahead and pull that off of the battery instead. So now we would still have items, like a dishwasher, washing machine, items that aren't really used, still tied with the grid, because we're not worried about pulling a little bit of energy, but our main items, we want to pull that off of our battery. So we're going ahead and run those items off of the battery at night. To where you'll still have a certain percentage to last you through the whole night, and then wake up in the morning, and then the solar will just recharge that battery all over and recycle itself day in and day out. So
perfect.
Heck yeah.
I'm learning.
That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm learning. So saving money on my,
and that's obviously the number one thing is saving money, right? Is you're going to pay APS no matter what from here on out, and they're going to only get more expensive, like we said.
Death, taxes, and electricity.
Exactly. And electricity. And with our systems, when we're designing our systems, we take into account a 6% APS increase every year. So we expect them to at least raise their rates 6%, which actually, believe it or not, most companies utilize the 4% rule because it's 4% to 6%. We cap it out at 6% because realistically, our utilities aren't our friends. They're going to cap it out every year that they can. So that's where you're also, when you're getting, a proposal, not just from Pure Solar, from anybody, you should have that expectations that this has a rate increase from your utility. So your typical grid tied system should pay itself off anywhere from 7 to 10 years per se, depending on the type of system. Because like I said, a roof mount, shingled roof, simple grid tied system is a lot, I can't say a lot cheaper than a ground mount, but is less expensive than, say, a ground mount that's 200 feet away from the main service panel. So there's obviously each home is different, right? And each home has different things that they're looking for. So whether it be like, say, a roof mount, a ground mount, or a carport, there's always at least some way for somebody to go solar, and the system will end up paying itself off. And your typical, like I said, grid tied system, anywhere from 7 to 10 years ROI. And then on your hybrid system, you're adding battery backup. It's a more of a luxury system. So you're probably closer to the 12, 15 year ROI. But then again, like I said, if I don't know if I could say that, but stuff hits the fan, you know what I'm saying? You've at least got that, power for your family. So.
And that's what I was thinking about too. And how many of us remember, 2010 was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
It was just, that's 12 to 15 years ago.
Yep.
And it was literally just yesterday. And I'm thinking about, you got to have electricity. You're paying somebody every month. Let's get us to the point where in 15 years we're done. And now if it hits the fan, when it hits the fan, I mean, if you go deep enough on the internet, you're going to find out that it's coming, right?
Yep.
So,
and that's most of our clients are the ones that are, trying to stay ready so they don't have to get ready. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something, something's coming, whether it be nothing as far as, earth shattering, or just be our utility just going crazy and raising rates even more, But I don't know, there does come that time where, as far as with the solar, when you're investing into solar, it's kind of funny. I look at it like this, because we all love that instant gratification, right? When we get in a car, we get that instant gratification of looking at that beast in the driveway. Awesome, or if you got a pull, you got that instant gratification. Jumping in it. With solar, it takes time to see exactly what this was worth for you. I mean, obviously with a hybrid system or an off-grid system, you have that instant gratification. If the grid did go down, oh, nice, my items are still running. But, with your standard grid tied systems, those take time to obviously pay itself off. So you're putting one, some people sit there and go, I don't know if I want to throw something on my roof, right? Or I'm scared of leaks or something, which, any solar company that's going to install solar on your roof is going to have a workmanship warranty to cover any of that. But all those question marks come in, the homeowners' heads and think, why is it going to make sense for me? And realistically, I think besides the fact of saving money is the number one fact of going solar.
Right.
Like I said, there's the luxuries of having, power if the grid did go down. But the reason you're going solar is to save money in the future.
Right.
Is to stop what the raising rates are going to be and prepare yourself for, no bill to no bill in the future.
So we live in Arizona, which is sun city, right? Sun everywhere.
Most sun hours in the United States.
Arizonans, though, what is the percentage of homeowners that have solar now? Because I'm noticing more and more new homes. It's almost standard from what I'm seeing.
And a lot of new tract homes will actually start their, they'll build these homes with, say, 4 to 6 panels, which, realistically is not going to take care of much for the homeowner himself. Maybe it doesn't, it might. What I'm trying to say.
Power that microwave for your pizza snacks.
It's not going to do much for them to do in a hybrid situation, right? Because that is going to literally maybe power a couple items right there. Because even just a well pump alone, you're looking at anywhere from 9 to 12 panels to just run a well pump by itself.
Really?
Right. So if they're doing these, like the cookie cutter kind of homes where they're throwing the 4 to 6 panels, it's getting rid of $20, $30 a month for them. But that's where usually it's at least nice, because I think they start the idea for the homeowner for once they get in there and they can see, okay, 4 panels did this for me. I wonder what 20 panels are going to do for me, because most systems are going to be between 20 and 40 panels. That's at least our standard size systems in this area are going to be between 20 and 40 panels. So So I know that's a lot to take in, so let that settle in for a little bit, but I'm gonna come back and we're gonna talk about batteries in our next segment. So this is Kent Phillips once again with Pure Solar on Empower Prep Unplugged, and thanks for joining us.